All right, it's Friday Fun Days, and we have a special guest. Bob Curran is here. Bob, good morning.
Good morning, David.
Yeah, appreciate
Kevin?
you. Yeah.
Good morning, my man, Bob.
Now, so we know Bob from Better the Bacon improvisation. Other people know Bob almost in a very fun way of calling you the unofficial mayor of Westchester and Kennett Square, probably Chester County.
Yeah.
You've been in the area a long time. You did jobs where you got to shake a lot of hands, meet a lot of people. So it's Bob. It's Bob Curran.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
But also, too, a lot of people may not realize you're heavily involved with the Rotary, which is a fantastic and continues to be a great organization.
Yeah, it's Rotary's, since, especially in this area, since early 90s.
Right.
And you've been, they're doing some great work in the community, and we'll touch base on some of that, maybe in a minute.
Yeah.
But today's World Polio Day, David,
It's the reason we had to have you here, because honestly, we've only, I would say, heard about it recently, just because there were some changes in administration to where you were like, all of a sudden we're talking about polio again. Mm-hmm. So first off, because we don't hear it that often, can you help, and especially some newer generations may have heard the word but don't know what it is?
Sure. If you're 70 and older, polio was a very frightening word. Mm-hmm. You had you were growing up as a child, and you couldn't go to the parks in the summer. You couldn't go to community pools. You wondered why some of your classmates in school disappeared for a while and then returned with crutches and braces and wheelchairs. And that was a very frightening time. Someone recently just said it was COVID times 1,000.
Wow.
Which
Right.
is just pretty bad. Paralysis, children, and affected, mostly young children.
Right.
And so it was a scary time. If you're under 70, you've been the beneficiary of a great medical breakthrough in polio vaccine. And that's been pretty much, that dichotomy right there, of pre and post vaccine.
Right. One of the things, too, that I would say is that, so I'm 57, and there was a generation ahead of me that dealt with polio, or you might have had somebody in your family who, had it, or possibly succumbed to it, or just, it was a terrible, awful thing. And Bob, I mean, if you don't mind sharing, you have an interesting relationship with polio too yourself, don't you?
I do. I was in September of 1955. I was stricken with polio.
Okay.
It came through a tropical storm up in the Boston suburbs, and we had a stream that meandered through our neighborhood. And it wasn't just myself; 7 other children all got affected with polio.
Wow.
And so you had, for me personally, it was, a time where, the doctor would come to your house. They made house calls back then, made a diagnosis, ambulance came, and you were off to a polio hospital. So that, and then for me personally, you may have heard of an iron lung.
Right.
And I was in iron lung for about 6 months.
Oh my goodness!
But
Straight? Is that how that? Because I've only seen pictures. I really don't know. You were in them
24/7.
Wow.
And it was fortunately for me, I was an infant, and I don't remember much of it.
Okay, gotcha.
I get a little anxious when I have to do an MRI, so maybe that comes back in that form. But so for me it wasn't. But then really, any effects of polio compared to some of the other children for me was I went on to have a great baseball career.
Right.
And then what some people are seeing now is a syndrome called post-polio syndrome, where they get into their 60s and 70s, and where they might have gotten out of those braces, they're finding their limbs starting to weaken again.
Okay.
So if you're hearing about polio, it's usually in the form of post-polio syndrome.
Okay, so that's the reason, I guess, that we are hearing it still, because the vaccine is still out there and preventing a lot of spread, or if not eradicated it at this point. But it's the post-polio that may be the reason that we have the World Day.
No, it's more because the World Polio Day is just to keep the awareness up.
Sure.
It is not eradicated yet. It is we're down to 2 countries Pakistan, and Afghanistan.
Still have rampant.
Still have cases of polio.
Wow.
Polio virus exists, many places,
of
but
course,
everybody's been, most people have been vaccinated by it, for it. But these two countries, due to issues like tribal leaders they think they're sterilizing women. They just don't want somebody to come in and control. So we're down to actually only 2 cases in Pakistan last year and 40 cases in Afghanistan. So we're down to 42 cases of polio in the world, and that's quite an achievement.
That is an amazing achievement, and I am curious, are those cases, I don't know how to say it, not cured but resolved, if you will, in most cases, because the technology, the iron lungs, whatever is still out there, they're able to utilize?
Oh, the technology for treatments have come a long way, obviously, but you're really working in areas that are hard to get to.
Right.
And that's where Rotary has really made a big effort.
So one of the things too with Rotary, I think a lot of times we shorten the term to Rotary, but it's Rotary International, and that's one of the reasons they're involved with other countries or trying to help with polio,
right,
and other things.
Oh yeah, Rotary has 4,500 clubs around the world,
right.
120 countries, so it truly is an international. And the story of Rotary back in 1985, and this is amazing to me, that a group of volunteers, Rotary, it's a volunteer organization, had the audacity to take on a project called, we're going to eradicate polio throughout the world, and we're promising the children of the world that we're going to solve this for you. Just
one club or a couple of them got together and said, we're going to do this.
Then
all the other clubs said, do what?
It started actually as a pilot in 1979 in the Philippines, where they did it as a whole pilot. It worked great.
Yeah.
The vaccines were available, 2 types, but when Dr. Sabin came out with the oral, couple of drops in the mouth, that really moved the vaccination.
Sure.
But here's the key that your listeners would be interested to know. And here's what Rotary did. Rotary didn't develop the vaccines.
Right.
Rotary didn't make the vaccines. But you can have all the vaccines sitting around in warehouses everywhere.
Right.
But if they don't get vaccinated, if the children don't get vaccinated, then what's the value?
Right.
So Rotary took this on, along with the World Health Organization, and set teams around the world to go in and vaccinate children in the farmost places.
Wow.
And today, 2025, we're down just to those 2 countries.
To the 42.
Yeah.
Wow. What do you think, this may be getting political, but I am just curious, what do you think needs to happen to help those countries snap out of it, if you will? Do you have any thoughts on?
Well, these countries, you use the word 42 because that's how many cases were last year.
Right,
but that number was 442 just a few years ago. So there is continuing progress. It's really dealing with cultural issues, and that's why the funding for what we do is important. And we're that close.
Yeah.
We're going to get there. And,
sure.
And it's just going to continue. You got to double down on the efforts because although Rotary had the audacity to take on this project, it's got the tenacity to finish the job.
Yeah.
And that's where we are right now.
How can we, as somebody who may be listening, going, well, I'd like to help. Boy, that is so close to the finish line.
Yeah.
Is it support Rotary? Is it support polio? What do you feel is the best method at this point?
Well, the best method would be you can go to the website endpolio.org, and that's a Rotary site. And the interesting thing about the funding is Rotary, as an international organization, raises $50 million a year for polio.
Just for polio?
Just for polio.
Wow, that's amazing, Bob.
And add to that, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation doubles that.
Wow.
So for every $1 you send to Rotary under the End Polio campaign, the Gates Foundation will add $2. Quite an investment in this world when you can, so we raise $150 million a year for polio eradication.
Right. And I think it's important to call out, because I was just focused on finishing the finish line, or getting to the finish line. There's still a lot of work to be done to keep it down to the 42. So don't let its 150 million go into just finish. That's not it. It's about the equipment, the continued research, the hope of total eradication, I guess.
Yeah, and like I said, outside of those two countries, the world is eradicated from polio.
Yeah.
But in this global travel world, you never know. So you have to keep it up. Every child needs to be vaccinated. And I think in the Western countries like the U.S. and in the Americas, you go to your doctor when you're an infant, you got to get your shots.
Right.
Well, throw that out the window when you're working in Pakistan
Right.
and Africa, and you basically picture Rotarians and other helpers with a backpack on filled with vaccines, with dry ice because there's no refrigeration, and hiking into villages and making it a big deal. It's Village Polio Day, and everybody comes, and it's a big celebration.
I love the fact that there's a positivity to this, but still, there's got to be a step where a villager, and we're not trying to be so primitive here, but there could be just a small town, a small village, if you will, and somebody walks in and says, first off, they have to explain. I can tell you what, I see it over here. You have a child or you have somebody who's afflicted. We need to tell you what this is. So there's got to be a component of education before you can say, hey, we're here. We have the vaccine. And they're like, for who are you and what are you talking about? Right.
And all that groundwork is laid with a combination of partners we have around the world, World Health Organization.
Right.
And the polio partners, we have everywhere.
Yeah. So, I know that it's been in the news, and again, on Friday Fun Days, we really try and not be political, but I think you've said it. It's been proven this vaccine works. It should not be taken away.
No.
Yeah, it should not be reduced. It should be given. And honestly, Bob, I'm trying to recall, because I was born in 1968. I don't know. Did I receive? More than likely I did as a baby, right? Or is it
you were right on that window where you either got it as an infant or you got it at school, elementary school.
I feel like I did now. Now
standing
that you said
in
that
line,
at school.
Getting it, and you either got a sugar cube then, or
that's familiar.
A scratch on your arm, something along those lines.
Yeah.
But now today with the drops,
right?
And it's great because people can, local people from the Rotarians from Westchester, they go on trips and do these vaccination trips.
Yeah.
Where they go, they come back with great stories about holding babies in their arms and putting 2 drops of polio vaccine in their mouth. So.
One of the things where I got to know you, Bob, was not only just because it wasn't through Rotary, it was through another civic organization, and as I've gotten to know you over the years, you do a lot of giving back, if you will. If someone was listening to this and they were like, you know what, I would like to get involved with giving back to the community, do you feel the Rotary is a good place to maybe start to try and learn how to give back and maybe meet some other people like-minded?
Yeah, I'd recommend visiting a local Rotary club. So here, there's actually 3 in Westchester, depending on your breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's one over that I belong to in Kennett Square, with meets at the Longwood Gardens every Thursday morning.
That's not a bad view.
No, it's pretty good, especially when the Christmas lights
are.
Oh
my gosh, that's not a bad Rotary at all.
And when you're at a Rotary meeting, you are learning about all the needs in the community. And when I was president of the Longwood Club, someone came up to me and said, boy, it must be a real burden to know all the needs in the community. Oh. And I said, no, it's almost a blessing.
Yeah.
Because I've got this skill set of people that we can actually make an impact in solving some of these.
Yeah.
So if you want to know what's happening, where the needs are in the community, a Rotary is a great first step.
That's excellent. But if you're really like, whoa, I didn't know we were that close to really eradicating polio. What was that website again?
It's www.endpolio.org.
I love the fact that may be a website that's run by Rotarians, but it's designated for polio. So yeah, Rotary needs money. They're doing their own funding and all of that, but they have designated, and you said they typically raise $50 million a year, matched by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and doubles it. Triples it. That's right, 2 to 1, you said.
2 to 1.
So $150 million. So imagine your $1 donation is $3 $15 for 5, and so on.
And how that matches up is it costs $3 to vaccinate a child.
Whoa.
Okay?
Just $3.
$3 today. That's how efficient the
Wow.
process has become. So your $1 vaccinates one child.
Could you imagine if you were able to, if you could give $50, that becomes times 3, that's $150, and that is just amazing to think of about how much closer when we talk about those final numbers there.
Yeah, and the number of children that have been vaccinated around the world by Rotary,
Right.
3 billion.
Wow.
3 billion children.
Wow.
And the number of children that's been saved from disability or death because
Right.
of this, 20 million children.
Oh
been
my
saved.
goodness gracious.
And we do about 400 million vaccinations a year.
Wow.
So it is, there's a lot happening in the
Right.
background.
Yeah.
But when you hear the word polio, especially if you're under 70, you have that
Sure.
memory like you
right,
have.
like I said, it's
at
a
some
slight
point,
memory. Yeah,
at
there's
what
something.
point?
Yeah, what
Yeah.
was it? But anyway, Bob, thank you so much for being here. Inpolio.com or org.
Inpolio.org.
.org. Okay, so make sure you get that and consider making a donation or check out a Rotary Club.
Yes.
They're completely free. They always very welcoming.
Very welcoming.
And like I said, you may meet some new friends, and if you choose to get involved. So again, for World Polio Day, Bob Curran, thank you so much, and also sharing your own personal story as well with us.
Great, thanks, David. Glad to be here.